So I'm going to start off by saying I have a lot I'm trying to cram into this 30 minutes because this was originally an hour presentation. So I'm going to talk really, really fast. I promise sometime during lunch I'm going to get a whole bunch of resources and links added to the InstructureCon course. So as I run by stuff and you're like, wait, what did she just say? I'm going to put it in there, so don't panic. As Ben said, I work for the Alamo colleges. I'm at our district offices, which mean I support all 5 of our colleges. I have been at the colleges at the past, so I've worked with a lot of faculty. And the idea for this presentation kind of came from working with a lot of people who, especially when we started out with Canvas, people had a lot of questions and they would say, how do you do this? Or I wish I could do this. And I would go looking for answers for them. And then once I got to know these answers and I'd share them with other people, they were like, well, how do you know that? And I was like, it's not like it's a secret, it's just, you got to know where to look. So that's how it sort of came to be. A lot of these tips I'm going to share with you, honestly, are things that maybe, you started out learning Canvas, you learned a whole bunch of stuff because there's so much it can do, and you forgot because you didn't use it all the time. And then, as you know, things change on a regular basis. There's releases constantly, and especially for faculty, you're teaching. You're way too busy to keep up with all the things that Canvas is throwing out there, so it may be just, things that are relatively new. And then, of course, I run the risk of having people being like, okay, I know all this, but I'm hoping that at least 1 or 2 of the tips I share today will, put off little light bulbs over your head. So this was really just me having fun with the Prezi template. Honestly, when I saw there was a newspaper template, I was like, ooh, I can do cool stuff with this. So a couple of my frames, honestly, have nothing to do with anything. This is the meat of what I'm going to show you. I'm going to switch over to Canvas in a second and share with you some of these tips. I've arbitrarily thrown them into these 3 categories. A little bit of formatting stuff. Really only just one LTI tip. If you're familiar with LTIs, the plugins, the apps, you know that they're all different in some way. So it's hard to share a tip that's going to be the same across LTIs. And then the timey-wimey stuff that we're going to talk about is the fun stuff. So let me just start sharing that with you. This is just one of my many test courses because I'm an instructional technology specialist, so I just have junk out there that I do to test things. The first thing I want to show you is really just a very, very simple tip. And this came from people saying, I wish I could make my home page, or any page really, look a little nicer. I don't know HTML. I don't want to know HTML. I don't have somebody who's designing nice graphics for me. What can I do? And this, it's a little washed out, I think. But what I've done is I've taken, here's pretty much the same content. I just took a picture, a little bit of text, and I shoved it in a single cell table. So if I go and click on the edit here so I can show you, this is just a table. Again, this is right from the rich content editor. Didn't have to know any code to do this. It's 1 column, 1 row. It's a little bit of cell padding, cell spacing, border, if you can remember 10, 10, 10. It made it nice. And then if you click on the little advanced tab, you can see that I've added a little bit of color for the border and the background. And then I just took the content that I already had there and copied and pasted it into that table and just made it look a little bit fancy. I know this is not, awesome, but again, this is a tip for people who don't want to know HTML. Speaking of HTML, let me find where I need to go next. So one of the things that I found out when I started trying to mess around with the HTML, because I know HTML, other people who do know a little bit would say, I try to edit my pages and add stuff. I save it, Canvas strips out the code, strips out the tags. So for the longest time, you were never really sure what was going to stick and what was going to get stripped out. And then one day, the Canvas whitelist appeared, and I'm just going to open that up in a new tab. This is, and if you've never been to the Canvas community, has anybody never been to the pages where you get the guides? Because that right there is a tip. Just live there. That's where I live. So this, I just looked up whitelist, basically, and I get this link, which shows me the tags, style, properties, attributes that you can use that Canvas will not strip out. So that's a little hint there. While I'm on that page, another question that comes up often from people who don't want to know HTML is, how can I get a link to open in a new page or a new window? And you know, the very recent update, they've put that in the modules so that now you have just a checkbox. Now this will open in a new tab or new window, but it's still not an option in the rich content editor. But one tiny little tag or attribute that'll help you is, I just, went into edit, switched over to the HTML side here, and if you add, where am I? At the end of your URL, just put a space, target equals, quote, underscore blank. Okay, again, I'm going to put all this in the course if you can't remember it. And doing that will then make it open outside, new tab, new window. It'll probably prove me wrong if I click on it, so I'm not going to do that. But now you know. One other thing in this page, I'll use this page to demonstrate is, and this is one that a lot of people know, but if you don't know it, you'll just be, okay. For the longest time, if I was in Canvas and I was typing some text and then I hit return and started something new, I was frustrated that it was starting a new paragraph every time. And it was actually an Instructure employee that taught me that if I just hit Shift, Enter instead, now it's a new line. And this isn't looking so good. I don't know why. I don't know. Okay. There we go. But you get the point. I was actually switching over to the code view and changing p tags to break tags, like an insane person. Now I know. Shift, Enter, new line. All right. So that's that. Another thing I want to show you quickly, and again, this is stuff that you kind of need to dig around and have some information in front of you, and that's why I'm going to share it with you. What I've done here is I have embedded 2 videos that I created. These are screencasts. And this is, fairly common, I think. People want to be able to embed things, and you can do this various ways, modules, whatever. But what I've had people say is, I want to embed in a single page multiple videos, multiple documents, different things. And I just used iframes for this. And this is all information I dug out of the Canvas community. People paved the way and figured out how to do it. And you can just kind of see each of those videos is a file I uploaded into my course, and then I just added iframe source, pointed it to the relative URL for the file, and that allows it to then be embedded. And I just, I centered this, tried to make it look a little nice. And then, I can play those videos right there. So if there's something that you're not able to just get some clean embed code for, or you don't want it to be standing alone as a file or a module item, this is one way to do that. So mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, so the question is, what would it look like if I didn't use iframe? And the example you gave was YouTube. YouTube videos you can easily embed without having to use iframes. This is most useful for if you have a file of your own that you've uploaded to your course and you want to add it in its own little frame inside the page. It's really more for that. Yes, or these are SWFs because they're Jing screencasts. So then taking the idea of iframes and tables together, this is a page that my colleague, Dr. Christopher Davis, who is somewhere in the audience, he was trying to put together a whole lot of information on a page and coming up with creative ways to sort of catch his students' attention. So this is his, I'm going to see if I can shrink that a little so you can see. He took his laboratory reports, put them in a table. It's actually a 6-cell table. Each of these is a file from his cloud, Microsoft OneDrive. So not only are they nicely sort of formatted here, and each one of these can be, popped out into full screen, but if he updates these in the cloud, it's showing up here in real time. So I thought that was a really clever idea. So I wanted to share that, and I thank him for that. But then it kind of made me think of something else. So I took it a step further and went a little nuts with the Brady Bunch embedding. And I put this together like a month ago. And of course, since then, Ann B. Davis has passed away. But I think she would want us to move on with the Brady Bunch embedding. So what I did was I took a bunch of Vimeo videos. These are all the Canvas help videos, if you haven't seen them. And I just created a table, and if I can get the code to display nicely, not too nice, but essentially each cell has iframe code to embed the Vimeos. And the Vimeos, like if you go out there, you can grab the iframe code right from it. It's really easy. And Ben's head's exploding, so I've done my job, but no, I just used the table tool in the rich content editor and said I wanted it to be 3 by 3, and then just at that point switched over to the HTML view and put in the embed code. And I can, if I really want to, get them all running at once.
In this video, you will learn how to submit a peer review, as well
I don't
as
even know how loud the volume
on your
is.
own assignments.
In this
A peer
video,
review
you will
assignment
get an
enables students to
overview of
comment
the
on the work
assignments
of their
index
peers.
page,
In this respect, it is a tool that allows communication between students. If you do not see a section,
Painful, isn't it? Okay, so I think that's pretty much the end of my formatting stuff, I think. So moving on to my one LTI tip that I have for you today. How many people have heard of the redirect tool? Quite a few. And really, it's not that unknown, because I've heard people talk about it even in InstructureCon in the past. But I love it because for the longest time, again, people would say, why can't I customize my left course navigation? So, oh, I'm sorry, you just can't. And then when I found out about the redirect tool, I was like, oh, must tell everyone who will listen. So if you go to the settings and you go to the apps, a lot of people are familiar with this area, and you just scroll down till you find the pretty blue arrow there. That's the redirect tool. And you can add pretty much any web page to your navigation. I will have to add the caveat that it hasn't been playing so nice lately because some websites don't like to open in a frame for security reasons. Also, you might get those mixed content errors that we're getting so familiar with where you have to click on the little shield. But hopefully my example will work. So I just clicked on Add Tool. This is just the name that you see in the background. So if you're going to use more than one, you should give it a name that you recognize. Link name is what's going to actually show up in that navigation. And then the URL redirect is just the URL, of course. Whoops. And then the key point here is to click on Show in Course Navigation and submit that. And then whenever you refresh your screen or go back to your home page, it's kind of hard to see. It's a little bit off the edge, but you see it showed up there in my course navigation. And when I click on it, if it's playing nice, and it did, oh, yay. Yeah, thank you. Update my Adobe Flash Player right now. So this is a live web page inside of my Canvas frame, and students can click on it and read it. And if you're pointing to something, maybe it's a web page you developed. Again, this is a situation where you point to it. You can be, fixing it on the fly in real time. It's all showing up live. It's not like a file you've uploaded. So that's my one LTI tip for you for today. I think now we get to move on to the timey-wimey stuff. which is great. Okay, so all that I'm done with. Let me switch over to another course to show you page rollbacks. This is something that is useful sometimes. If you are frequently updating a page, maybe you want to know, okay, how did this look, a month ago? And especially if maybe a student asks you a question about something and you're like, did I have that on my homepage? This is just a course where we were sharing some information across the colleges. And so we've updated this pretty regularly, not so much lately, but for a long time we were. I'm just going to click on the little gear wheel and you see the view page history. And right now I'm in draft state, which, some of you may have already switched to draft state. Probably most of you are aware it's coming. But everything I'm doing is also, true in not draft state, whatever you would call that now. So if I just click view page history, I can see over on the right-hand side, these are all the revisions that were done to this page, and it actually goes on from here, but I know you're not scrutinizing this terribly, but if you see I click on the version from July 13th of last year, a little bit changed. I had different documents there. I have some information about a canceled meeting. I can roll back to a date last year where I wanted to see if anyone was paying attention, so I changed my homepage graphic there. Anybody remember Sharknado? It's like one hand. Okay, anyway, if I wanted to restore this revision, I just click on restore this revision, and then this becomes my current homepage. So I'm not going to do that. But that's how you can go back in time to previous versions of your homepage, any wiki page. Another thing I got to go back to my other course for is in the grade book, you can see a previous grade. So this came up, faculty saying, okay, I've tried out this curving grades feature. If you've ever looked at that drop down, and some people have probably used curving. Maybe they curve the grades and they don't like the result and they want to change it back. Or sometimes maybe they're, doing some grading and they're just sort of tabbing around, and next thing they know they're in the wrong column. Oops, so now I've just made a bunch of changes, and that's probably not a good one. Here, I'll just do this one. But I've had people tell me that they've done this. So now they don't remember what was there, obviously. So if you go to that main little gear wheel for the grade book, the first thing there is view grading history. And there we go. And it shows you all the grade changes that you made. And this was the assignment I was just messing with. And you see it shows you the before and after, the after, and the current. So this is your current grade, whatever was there, the last one. It only goes back one. So if for some crazy reason, maybe your kid's mashing on your laptop and changed all your grades 17 times, that's not so good. But if in normal grade change world, this is the way, and you just hover over it and you get that revert to this grade, and you can just click on that and you see the current grade is changing as I do this. Mm-hmm. That is a very good question. The question is, if you've got a TA doing the grading, so it's more than just you in there, does it show who did it? And I believe so, because you can see my name. I'm just going back. You can see my name here. So I believe that the answer is yes. I haven't played with that in a long time, but I believe it will show. And there's a hand in the back where you, yeah. Okay. Okay, so to repeat that, it does not work so well in large courses of more than 150 students-ish. Okay, thank you for that tip. So that's my grade rollback tip there. And then I'm going to show you one more timey-wimey thing here. This is where I get to pretend to be a crazy faculty member. So let's say let's say it's 2 in the morning, because nobody ever does work on their online course at 2 in the morning. And I'm looking at my course, and I'm thinking, okay, what is this term paper thing? Why is that there? I have no idea what that's doing there. And I just go and I delete it, you know. You sure you want to delete this? Yeah, I do. Sorry, done. Okay. So now, now it's the next day, you know, and you wake up and you look at it and you go, I needed that term paper. That was important, and people submitted it, and I graded some of them. So now what am I going to do? All right, go to your home page so that you have the nice, clean URL across the top, okay? At the end of the number, put in a little slash and type the word undelete, okay? Hit return. And now you have a list of things that you have deleted in this course. I get applause for that. And I am told that this, you know, remembers pretty much everything you've ever deleted. I don't know. I've been playing with this test course for, I'm hearing a not true, because not sure, but I can. The last 25. Thank you, Ben. Yeah, I mean, essentially, you're going to use this mostly when you've just screwed up, you know, once. Okay, so what we got from the audience is question banks will not come back. Assignments, quizzes, discussions. Discussion replies won't. Module items, okay, so if you delete a whole module, and you restore the module, it doesn't bring back everything that was in it, but it also didn't delete everything that was in it. It's like having a box. You know, you deleted the box, everything fell out. You got to put it back. But anyway, to finish the process here, it's just that restore button. And to answer the question that's going to come up next, yes, it's back with its grades, with its submissions. So I'm going back to my assignments page. So it's back. One thing I did notice now that draft state is turned on is sometimes you may have to republish something. Sometimes if you delete, it was published, you deleted it, you bring it back, it's unpublished. Minor issue, but just something to be aware of. So that is that. That's it, I'm done. No, I'm just kidding. So that's the undelete, but was that too fast? Here we go. Undelete changed my life. So I do have 3 last things to share with you. These really fall into the category of stuff that's just really obvious and you forget because you don't do it that often, or just easily overlooked. And and I saved these for the end so that you could all be on your iPads trying to undelete things, because I do see a few people looking down. So the first thing I want to show you here is, let me just get back to my home page so I have a nice clean. So about once a semester still, after 2.5 years of being on Canvas, somebody says, I really wish I could customize my course list. I want to only be able to see this semester's courses, or only the ones I'm teaching fully online, or whatever. So I say, okay, hover over courses and look for the thing that says customize. And then you click on that, of course, and you can just, take away, add. Just make sure you don't hit the reset button, because people sort of feel like it's a submit button of sorts. Don't do that. But this, excuse me, this took on sort of an added importance recently. I think it was early May, there was a change to the calendar, so that now, in the past, you'd go to your calendar, and if you have a whole bunch of courses, you have a whole ton of stuff going on. Now, whatever's in your customized course list floats to the top of your calendars, which is, I know, like super exciting stuff. So keep that in mind when you're playing with your customization. Well, yes, and the question was, if you have too many things in your calendar, will they all show? I mean, they're all there. You just have to do a lot of scrolling, and they were showing up rather randomly, especially if you have a bunch of classes. You know, you've been teaching for multiple semesters, and you have 9 English 1301s lined up. If you've got it customized, so it's just that semester, yeah, that's why that's super useful. Another question I get asked very often is people want to know whether they are getting close to their limit for their course quota, you know, for their storage. And there's a couple of different ways to do it in your course, but the very easiest way is to just click on Files and look at the teeny tiny print. Good things come in teeny tiny print. Underneath the file box, it says storage used. Let me see if I can. Come on. So the storage used in this course is 51.8 megabytes out of the 500 limit. So that's, you know, quick, easy way. And then while I'm there, I'll point out too, for a long time, and not so much anymore for some reason, a long time people would say, I wish I could just very easily copy one file from this course to the other without doing a whole, you know, import, copy, whatever. Underneath that file box, again, is a See Files for all your courses groups. And if you click on that, then you get all your folders, and you can do a whole bunch of drag drop stuff. Let me now shrink this a little bit. One thing that's a little limiting here is it will only show your first 15 courses. So if you have a whole bunch, you don't get them all. It's not like the nice calendar now matching your customized course list, but I've been told there is at least one feature request out there to make this also match up with your customized course list. But, you know, all you do is just click on a course and just drag a file. And this is copying, it's not cutting and pasting, so if you need to delete, you need to delete from that one, but dragging and dropping. And then one last tip. Need to go back to my grade book. I'm going to go to the speed grader here. There we are. So this is just really often overlooked, again, because of the teeny tiny print. Up in the corner of your speed grader has its own settings. And the one that I really like is you can change the way you sort. By default, it's by student name. And that's fine if you're grading everything at once, but very often you're grading something as submissions are coming in. So you can actually change it to the date that they submitted it, or my favorite is just by submission status. So if you sort it by submission status, then you go to the speed grader, the very first thing that's gonna pop up is the first ungraded item, and then I only have one ungraded in here, but as you go, you know, student to student, you're going through all the ungraded ones first before you get to the ones that are already done. So that is my last tip. We've got literally like a minute for questions. Question back there? Okay, so the question was about badges, whether you can roll back and revoke badges. Honestly, I do not know, because we're only just starting to play with badges at our institution, so I don't have an answer to that question. And I have run out of time, so I'm to put that up for you. Thank you. And again, I will be putting a whole bunch of stuff up in the course so that you can have those documents to refer to.